Thank you. I hope I see you ran out of time, but not of Viagra, which is good. So let me start by asking you how many of you are seeing Narcos on Netflix. Good. That's only part of the problem we have. The other part of the problem is a picture here. And basically what I'm going to talk to you, what we're going to talk to you about, because this is a joint session with Frank Pearl sitting here, who's one of the lead negotiators of peace in Colombia, is about the journey to this picture and the journey after this picture. In this picture, you see sitting in the table a lot of guerrillas who have left the jungle and who are now working with the soldiers, getting fed and being received out of the guerrilla, like they have surrendered or demobilized, as we call them. And then they will leave this military base and they have to go back to civil life. So what I do is try to get them out of the jungle into that table, and what Frank does is try to get them out of that table and return to civil life. For a little bit of context, Colombia has been in war, an internal war, for about over 50 years. And this war has cost us 5,700,000 displaced, which is the second largest displaced population in the world, and about 220,000 lives directly linked to the war. So that plus all the other things that war brings. War brings fear, war brings kidnappings, war brings terrorism, and all sorts of collateral, if you will, damage. So what is the end of war? The end of war is peace. That sounded really deep, right? Thank you. We want to achieve peace. We need to achieve peace. In order to move to the next step, to move Colombia to the next step, we need to achieve peace with ourselves. If you remember the picture I showed you, the soldiers and the guerrillas are not different at all. We are the same people. So we were called upon by the government to try we were asked to try to help them achieve peace by demobilizing as many soldiers as possible. So I think it's pretty simple. You can either kill the guerrillas so that there's less guerrillas, you can capture them, or you can peacefully try to get them out of the guerrilla and convince them to get out. So we were called upon to do that, and by talking to lots and lots of guerrillas, we reached a conclusion that is what has guided the campaign throughout the time, which is, I call it the Hotel California thing. Guerrillas are much prisoners of the organizations as the ones they hold hostage, which Hotel California means you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. Guerrilla is a life commitment. You can never get out of it. So there's a lot of frustration because once you're in there, all your dreams are circumscribed to the organization you're in. So we started reminding them of the power of feelings, of what they were missing. And I'll show you a short video of one of the first activities we did. Oh, I'll show you a picture before that, which is, it shows that all of the work that we do it with the army and with the government. So it's a joint civil society and army and government work.
invite a la desmovilización.
So what we put 9 of these trees in the jungles of Colombia, and what this activity achieved was 331 guerrillas demobilized, which roughly at the time was about 5% of the guerrilla forces left in Colombia. But not a lot of them saw these trees, but most of them heard about them. And what they told us when they came out is, you know why we didn't see them? Because we don't walk as much anymore. We move along the rivers. So we thought maybe the next thing we should do in the next Christmas was talk to them through the rivers. And this is, I compare it to sort of like a Twitter campaign, little things that you send out. So how do you send Twitter or tweets out to people who are in the jungle? This is what we did.
La Navidad allá en la guerrilla siempre es una fecha de sentimiento, de nostalgia.
Esas son las autopistas, son las carreteras. Allá se usan mucho los ríos para moverse la guerrilla.
Esta operación tiene como objetivo que el bandido reciba esta bola, la cual lleva un mensaje del pueblo colombiano para que vuelvan a pasar la Navidad con sus familias.
De la tarde, 46 minutos, la emisora del Ejército Nacional. Seguimos con esta buena programación para todos nuestros oyentes que están escuchando la emisora del Ejército Nacional. Estamos invitando a todas las personas, allí madre, hijos, amigos de los que hacen parte de las FARC, invitándolos a que en esta Navidad les envíen un mensaje, un regalo, diciéndole allí para que se desmovilicen, para que vuelvan a casa, que hay una familia que los espera, para que ellos vuelvan a la libertad, para que pasen una Navidad en familia.
Que por favor se desmovilicen, que la familia los espera con los brazos abiertos.
Guerrillera, desmovilízate, la Navidad te espera.
Y busquen su familia y vayan a la Navidad, que están todas sus familias esperándolos.
Estar al pie de su familia, su papá, de su mamá, de sus hermanos.
Y acá afuera todos los colombianos los esperamos con los brazos abiertos.
A la guerrilla para que se desmovilicen, para que regresen al seno de sus hogares, que lo que queremos en este país, los 46 millones de colombianos y el mundo entero, es la paz.
So the military pressure continues. It was very strong. The guerrilla numbers were dropping below the threshold, and they decided to come to the table and negotiate. And now it was different for us. It was not about telling them to come back home, but what it would be like to come back home. Would their families reject them? Would their friends reject them? And we went and asked mothers of guerrillas to give us pictures of their children and to send a message that only a mother can send, which is, before you were a guerrilla, you were my child. So come home, I'm waiting for you. I will always be waiting for you. So these are parts of the print that we put in all the villages where the war still goes on. As you can see, there are pictures of the kids that only they can recognize themselves because we didn't want to put their lives in danger. So this is part of the effort that we've done, and since we've started doing this, more than 18,000 guerrillas have demobilized. And I don't intend to say that this has to do exclusively with the work that we've done. It has a lot to do with other things. But we have held bring 18,000 guerrillas to the table. And the question I always get is, and then what happens? So in order to answer this question, I will introduce my good friend and chief peace negotiator, ex-banker, and the creator and the architect of the whole system of reintroducing guerrillas to civil society.
Thank you. Thank you, Jose Miguel, and thank you, David, for this invitation. Why do we do this work? We do this work because we think of the children of our country, because we want the children of our country to live in an ambience of warmth, of love, of opportunities, especially those that are in areas in which the armed conflict brings very tough realities for them and their families. We want in our country, and that's what we're doing the peace process, to end the circle of violence, the vicious circle of violence, and that has to do with the next generation. So we want them to be able to transcend a history of violence and move on to modernizing our country. Lida, the woman on the left, was one of those kids. She was living in a Colombian rural area, and due to family problems, she was part of a family of 12. She made the decision of joining the guerrilla in her early teens. After some years, she got pregnant, and she decided that she wanted to quit. She asked her boyfriend if he would leave, and he said no. But anyway, she decided to leave, and risking her life, he got out and joined the reintegration system. When she came to us, she told us she wanted to be a singer. The reintegration system has to do with individuals, former guerrilla or paramilitary members with their families and their communities. It's an effort and merit-based system. We now see Lida here in this picture with her family after 2 or 3 years of being part of the system, and we can see that they're doing an activity in which their family is reading some lyrics as part of songs that they're understanding and composing, and her song is playing the harmonica. So what we do when someone comes into the reintegration system is we do an inventory of whom they are and what family ties do they have. And it has been proven that those former combatants that are able to build strong family ties and to commit their families to the reintegration process usually make it, while those that do not have strong family ties struggle more to make it. When someone joins the system, they have to make a decision which is called the reintegration route. We make an inventory of their psychological profile, their educational levels. 50% of them don't even know how to read and write. And according to their preference, their skills, and their capabilities, we design the reintegration route. What we want to do is to build different degrees in freedom in our population. Economic freedom, political freedom, cultural freedom, social freedom. One can think that a single mother with 3 kids just trying to survive doesn't have any type of freedom. So our goal is to make them think and rethink whom they are, to restore their dignity, and to be able to remember that they had dreams. It is compulsory for them to study. in educational programs for adults that take on average 7 years. And we've managed to have more than 22,000 former guerrilla members that now have high school degrees, more than 7,000 of them that have gone to technical training for the job, and around 3,000 of them already have university degrees. This is done through a network or more than 600 organizations, public and private, and educational institutions throughout the country. But where do they go back to? They go back to their communities. And in a country which has faced internal armed conflict, we have a lot of strong feelings. Feelings of fear, anger, probably revenge. How do we change those sentiments for sentiments of compassion, hope, and commitment for change? Well, we've discovered that art and sports are key to that. Because arts, like, for example, music, dancing, painting, allow us to express hard feelings in a socially acceptable way, in a constructive way, and it allows us to heal our souls. So we chose the 120 most violent communities in our country, those in which we had the largest number of people being dead, massacres, or people being displaced. And with the help of the international community, we went there and told people we were going to have arts activities. For example, I remember being in a town, and in the first phase, we went there with anthropologists, sociologists, psychologists, and social workers, and we gathered the community. But very few people came because there's a lot of distrust. Anyway, we told them, we're going to paint a canvas. So you have to paint here the past of your town. And they will paint difficult things, tough things. They will paint blood drops coming from the clouds. They will paint the war. There was a lot of pain and anger. Now, after that, they spent around 6 months with the sociologists and psychologists understanding everybody's role in their past, their responsibility, but more than that, putting themselves in someone else's shoes. When that phase was completed, we moved into a second phase in which we will ask them, now you're going to paint the present of your town. And they will paint a more tranquil atmosphere, but with a lot of tension. That again was processed through the team of professionals, and we were finding that internal dialogues, day-to-day dialogues between citizens were taking place about the conflict and about the role of each one of them and about what had happened. And they were understanding better and judging less. In the third phase, which was beautiful, I remember being in a very large gym with more than 1,000 people, and by my side was a little kid, probably he was 5 or 6 years old. And we asked them, we need you to paint the future of your town. So they will paint what they wanted to be, what they wanted to do, what they wanted to have. This little kid painted, I remember, a bike and a playground. And his grandmother, who was sitting by my side, painted a park. So at that point in time, we told them, now you're on your own. As a community, you have to decide of all these images and projects that you want to have, choose just one through constructive dialogue. In some towns, it took weeks. In some other towns, it took them months. But after that, once they chose a project, former combatants would actually physically build and construct schools, health centers, playgrounds, parks for the community. And the community, when they saw that, they started to build with the former combatants, and those projects are now a symbol for reconciliation in our country. I think that what has been achieved there is making it possible for citizens to understand that they own the future and that violence is not the way. While we do that, each former combatant has to choose their path, the reintegration route. In the case of Lita and other people, we found that they wanted to sing. So we created, and you'll see here in this video, we created a project by which we chose former combatants and victims, and they toured. They came to London, they went to Madrid, they composed songs about the conflict, and they pursued their careers in art. In this picture, which we took from the video, we see Lita with her son. What we can see in this kid's face is admiration for her mother. Probably he now knows that violence is not the way, that through effort and merit, you can achieve whatever dream you have, and he is closer to not repeating the mistakes that we made and to transcending the history of violence. We want to share this experience with the world. In the last years, 75% of former paramilitary members that have come to the system have made it, and 92% of former guerrilla members never went back to delinquency. The annual cost of this project is much lower than what's cost us to have somebody in a prison, and these people are able to go back to the societies. So we've created a network of knowledge in which 22 countries participate, and members of 22 countries that have similar challenges that the ones we face go to Colombia on a yearly basis to see what we do, but we learn a lot from them. We want the system and the experience that we had to be useful for anybody that needs it. Just to finalize, I would say that on a personal basis, I've learned a lot. When I began doing this work, I thought that achieving peace was a technical or political issues, that it has to do with public policies, and of course it has to do with that. But achieving peace is a personal and even a spiritual journey. Peace is about fairness. Peace is about justice. Peace is about having real, genuine interest in one another. Peace is about not choosing violence. And I would like to leave you with a message which is, whenever we want or we think to restore to violence, to any kind of violence, let us choose the words. And it has been possible because we have teams of people that share a dream, and our dream is that our country will be in peace. Thank you very much.
It's time to change. It's time to change. El odio por amor. It's time.
Thank you, Frank, and thank you, Jose Miguel. You've come a long way to be here to share this story, and it's not like you're not a busy man, because you are actively involved in negotiations. What can you tell us, Frank, about what you've been doing, how it works as a negotiator, who you've been with, where it happens?
Well, we started the process with the FARC in 2009. I've been working in the process for more than 5 years, and we've been sitting with them at the table since 2012. It's been 3.5 years that we have been negotiating with them in Cuba. With the other guerrilla, we've been negotiating since January of last year. The process with FARC is well advanced. We have 3 points of the agenda that we defined, already agreed upon, and we hope to be done in around 6 months. But I would add that guerrilla groups, criminality, corruption are not the main issues that we do face. They are manifestations of deeper issues that our societies have not solved. They're distractors. So the real task is to work on those issues to prevent those manifestations, and that is what will come ahead.
And where are you going from here?
From here, I'm going home for a few days and then to Cuba.
Back to negotiate?
Yes.
Wow. Jose Miguel, you're an epic storyteller. How far can stories, do you think, shape the behavior of people with political motivations to challenge the state?
I think stories work in both ways. I think political motivation is a function of the story that they hear. I think all of this, all of the ideological things come from stories, from very powerful stories. And I think stories are what gets them out. I think humanity and stories. I think guns can only do so much. I think if you have an unwinnable war, which I think we agree it's an unwinnable war for both sides, the best way is to end it and move forward. And that needs to be done through humanity and storytelling.
Well, it's been brilliant having you both here from the other side of the world to explain your mission. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Jose Miguel.